Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 12:15. It's Tuesday. It is sunny outside today, which is nice. It's not that cold. It's beautiful, but it's live from Dave's office, our weekly webcast, talking about all the news, the people, the cool stuff happening at Hamilton Church. We got an extra cool special guest with us today. Without any further ado, our pastor, Dave Kettleson.
Hey, welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have a special guest with us, Sandy James. And Sandy, welcome to our live webcast today, Tuesday. Like Hal said, it's beautiful outside. Hope you all get a chance to get outside. Sandy, tell us a little bit about you and your family.
Well, hi, Pastor Dave. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
I am a northern transplant to the area. I'm a Jersey girl at heart, but Tennessee living by choice. And I have a husband named Adam, and I have two kids, Nathan and Samantha. Nathan's 9, Samantha is 5, and I work full-time at Southern Adventist University.
And you know, if you ever are at Hamilton and you see one of our more befores just before the service begins, your daughter plays a real neat part, and she's so cute. Both your kids are. You got a
Thank you. She's my ham. He's more shy. She's always camera ready.
She is such a ham. I don't know how she technically qualifies as Adventist. I mean, she is such. I love that girl. Oh,
thank you. Me too.
Well, you should. And you and Adam have done a great job with your kids. We've been really excited about having you and your family. You know, and I baptized Adam here, man.
You did
years ago, and just
think about 3. Mm-hmm.
About 3 during the Everyone Has Hope series with Roger Hernandez. Such a neat guy. Well, Sandy, tell us a little bit about what you do, your job there at Southern, and how it has transitioned during this pandemic.
Sure. Under normal circumstances, I have what I like to call a very fun job. I am the manager of guest services and lodging. And basically what that means is we have a hotel here on campus, just a small one, mostly used for, visiting parents, guest speakers, that kind of thing, although anyone can rent it. And then with guest services, I also do all of the outside events for campus. So we offer our facilities for rent to other entities. And when they want to come on campus, they make all the arrangements through me. I find them a space and a time, and I get them keys and arrange catering if they need it, security, that whole deal. And all that stuff is right up my alley. It's what I enjoy doing. So in general, I have a very fun job that I like quite a bit. One problem with that very fun job is that during a global pandemic, you don't really want to have any special events on your campus for outsiders. And you also don't want a bunch of people coming and staying at your hotel, especially because we have blocked off, we have 3 buildings that comprise the hotel. And we have blocked 2 off to use for COVID quarantine and isolation. So it leaves us only with a couple rooms that we rent out to guests. And so obviously in that situation, I could have been very much without a job. But I was very lucky to be reassigned. My new title is not quite as much fun as my old job is, but it's very essential, which is good in these times. I am the COVID quarantine and isolation coordinator, which is a fancy long title for making sure that people who are in quarantine and isolation get their meals, get exercise, get packages if they've had something mailed to them, etc.
Well, that's quite a job. What a transition. Now, tell me a little bit about the hotels. If I were to drive on campus, where are they located and how many rooms are in each hotel?
So we're in the upper stateside apartments, which is Tennessee, Mississippi, and Kentucky. Those are the names of the 3 buildings. If you're familiar with the former A.W. Spalding, now called Collegedale Academy as well, we're like catty corner across the street from them, where the 3 buildings kind of up on the hill.
Right.
And 2 out of the 3 buildings each have 8 apartments, and the Tennessee building has 7 just because one of our apartments turned into our office. So we have 23 available apartments, and they're not standard hotel rooms. They're 2-bedroom apartments, all of them, with differing amenities.
Yeah. Well, now that you've transitioned, you have a few students. I know that the numbers have gone down. Is that true that you don't have?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we are so thankful for God's protection and mercy this semester, even more so than last. We had a great semester last fall, and we really were able to keep things under control as far as COVID goes.
Right.
Coming in this semester, we definitely had an uptick, but it is starting to wane and go back to normal levels. And we're just super grateful for God's protection and guidance in all of this.
So tell us, if a student comes down with COVID, what are the steps you take? Because I know you don't send them home, you keep them there.
No, we do encourage students who actively have COVID to stay here. They won't be kept here against their will if they're like, no, I want to go home and give my parents COVID. We won't stop them, but we'll encourage them not to, really, really strongly.
Yeah.
If they actually have COVID, they'll go into one of our isolation apartments. And it's kind of funny, the wording we use. Quarantine is when we know you maybe were exposed to COVID, or you're having some kind of symptom and we're not sure if you have COVID. And so when you're on quarantine, you have to be absolutely by yourself till we find out what's going on with you. The funny thing is, when you actually have COVID, we put you in our isolation housing. And the funny thing is, we call that isolation, but if someone else also has COVID, you guys can room together. And so you're actually less isolated if you actually have COVID than you are if we're not sure that you have COVID.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But they're removed from the general population of students immediately.
Right.
And then we do contact tracing to find out who they've been in contact with, and anyone who's spent an extended period of time in their direct presence will be quarantined.
What a process. Well, let me just kind of transition and shift over to Hamilton. I know you and your family are there, and you've been a part, or launched off what's called Adventures. Tell our listeners a little bit about Adventures and what's going on with Adventures.
Sure. So Adventures, for anyone who's not familiar, it's kind of like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, except it's for boys and girls. It's for kids ages 4 through 10. And I like to joke that running a kids club during a global pandemic is not for the faint of heart. But we try really hard to bridge that gap between keeping the kids safe from, this virus, and also protecting, their little spirituality. Kids need an outlet. They need community. They need fun. Their whole life was probably upended by this virus. And since our group was smaller than your average classroom or maybe, play group that they belong to, we thought that we could do it safely. We've taken a bunch of different measures. We've had all of our meetings outside this year. We did have one program that was briefly indoors, but when the kids were ready to sing their little song, I made them all come outside and put their masks on and spread out.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep. And that's the only time we've been indoors this year. We have spent all of our time outdoors. We have a big focus on hand sanitizing or hand washing, depending what's available. We've, taken temperatures, and it's a constant battle with the kids. You see them, they think they get past you and they try to pull the mask down. I'm always, snapping the fingers. Hey, mask up, mask up.
This has been hard for little kids.
It has.
Just, a whole new world for them trying to.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Sandy, I have to do that on Saturday mornings in the lobby with the adults too.
Yeah.
Mask up,
Yep. That's one thing I find none of us grow out of. We all hope that the rules don't apply to us, that we're somehow magical.
Yeah.
and it's a lifelong problem for everybody, really. But the kids have really adapted well. God has really blessed us. I think the kids have been having a great year in Adventures. And the experience has been different than last year, but it hasn't been worse. They've been having a great time. We've just had to get creative.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So.
Well, I've been there to your adventures. You've invited me to speak, tell little stories, and I can't thank you and your team enough for what you do for these kids. You do an
Oh, thank
awesome,
you.
really do. And
Thanks, Pastor Dave.
I live by the aunt of one of the students named Jake, and I think he's
Hmm.
your son's best friend.
He is.
And that guy is so articulate. I mean,
He is.
he's he's a great young man. I took him
He
out
is.
the other day. He wanted, well, it was actually a few weeks ago. He wanted to learn how to golf. So in my backyard, we went and we putted, we chipped, we drove, and he hit a few. So he was learning, and he was so much fun.
That's awesome. It's funny that you bring up Jake because at our last adventure meeting, he was just telling his mom, he's like, I'm so glad we go to Hamilton now. Because he had gone to a different church and he'd had some negative experiences with the children. He said, they're nice to me at church, but if I see them anywhere else, they're not nice to me. And he's like, at Hamilton, I've really made friends. And so it's nice to hear that you did something special like that for him.
Well, it was fun.
It's good.
It was fun. You're welcome. Well, I would like to ask you, just tell me anything else. What attracted you to Hamilton, and something that you can share about what you like about Hamilton?
There's a lot I like about Hamilton. Growing up in New Jersey, there's no such thing as a contemporary Adventist church in New Jersey. They don't exist. I actually do have a friend in New Jersey who's trying really hard to make one happen. But it's just the Northeast is a different atmosphere. I feel like there's less Adventists, and therefore it's like very tight knit and insulated. And I hesitate to use the word stuffy, but it is just a little bit stuffier of an environment. And bear in mind, I love the people I grew up with, and I love the churches I attended. But church-wise, they weren't exactly what I had in mind for myself. And so when we moved to Tennessee with just the bounty of different choices, I said to my husband, it's going to be so exciting. When we get there, we'll church hop for like the first 6 months. We'll just like try everything on and see what's out there and find a great fit. And one of our friends from New Jersey, the first weekend we moved down, he texted us. He's like, hey, you should come check out my church. It's called Hamilton. I'd love to see you there on Sabbath. We're like, sure, great. And so we went to church that Sabbath, and we never went to another church.
That's cool. Well,
you're just hopping at Hamilton now. That's
yes,
what it is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, we're so glad for that. Adam and I think it was Andrew Klein, we went to the men's ministry together, and he told me how he just really enjoyed the connections that he had made, and so happy to see him join Hamilton, your whole family. You're such a blessing to us all. Just a kind of a breath of fresh air, really.
Hamilton has definitely been a blessing to us. My kids feel very connected to the church, and as a parent, that's like the number one thing you could hope for, that your kids feel connected to church.
Amen. So. Yeah, and my kids too, especially my son. He looks forward to coming, and he sees one of his friends too, Caden, but it's an attraction to him. And when your kids love church, something's being done right. And we don't do everything right, but
nobody does. But kids are an amazing barometer of if something is good or bad. They don't pull any punches. A kid will let you know exactly what they think of a situation. And I'm thankful that my kids like Hamilton.
That's right. Well, Hal, do you have anything to ask Sandy?
Well, I mean, not so much ask, but there's a tiny little story I want to share here, because when I see Sandy, she's involved in these ministries and her job. Sleep in Heavenly Peace, she plays a big part in that. Is everywhere you see Sandy, she's giving and she's doing. So I always joke with her that she's like the Adventist Wonder Woman with her golden lasso and everything. And she's very inspiring. But I want to share a little story that I don't think I've even shared with Sandy, because Last year, about a week into the pandemic, the tornado hit.
Yeah.
And we weren't in COVID mode yet because it had just started. But for the first 3 weeks of the tornado, when everyone was around, we were out there serving lunch every single day. Sandy was out there every single day.
Yep.
And on about the middle of the third week is when we had the very first conversation. Hey, what if we kept this going? What would you think about, maybe doing this like one night during the week, like Tuesday nights? And it was one conversation with Sandy that was the little spark that kicked off the flame that is now the biggest ministry at Hamilton. And we now it's now sprouting new ministries out of it.
Really?
But
That's amazing.
It was just one little conversation. And I was pouting. It's like, I don't want this to end. And she was like, well, let's just keep doing it.
Well, it was the best. I have to say that ministry ministered to me because, we were in the path of the tornado. Our house wasn't destroyed, but, we didn't have power for a week, and our fence was torn down, and our siding was busted, and our garage doors were busted, and a tree landed on our cars. And right after the tornado, we didn't, I think I said it, we didn't have power for a week, and it was just depressing. Our whole neighborhood was just a wreck. And it was so nice to be able to feel like there was something to do. I obviously I don't know how to fix anybody's house or anything like that, but it was really nice to be like, you know what, I could serve people lunch. I could do that. And so it meant a lot to me and my kids to be able to come out after the tornado.
Awesome. And you never know what it would lead to, and look where it is now. That's really cool. Well, Sandy, we sure appreciate you and your family and being on our live webcast.
Of course.
Our listeners, this was a great day to connect in here. Sandy, is there anything else you want to share? Anything that's just on your mind, your heart?
I'm just praying for everybody that, that we don't get COVID fatigue and we don't, just throw our hands up in the air and be like, whatever. Because as done as we are with COVID's not done with us. So we just have to hang in there a little bit more. And just be safe out there. Be careful, make good choices. And I'm praying for everybody.
Good advice. Thank you. Thank you for your prayers too. We all need that. Well, as you know, we like to keep you updated. And so I want to just share a few things with you. Of course, we have our 10 o'clock mass required. And we do really kind of monitor that. So come and feel safe at our 10 o'clock service. Then we have 11 and 12 where we strongly encourage that. And they're all about 45 minutes, our services. And we really have enjoyed having the three services. And so feel free to come to any of those. Then on Tuesdays, we have our live webcast. Then on Tuesday evenings, we have our Serving Our Neighbors. And this, to me, I look forward to this so much. I hate to miss a Tuesday, but I'll be out there tonight. And that starts at 5:30, and it goes till 7. And if you'd like to help in the kitchen, you can come around 4 o'clock. Now, Hal, you kind of know the menus each week. What are we having tonight?
Tonight is enchiladas, Spanish rice, and either beans or corn, depending on which box you get, because we're about half beans, half corn. So
don't forget the Little Debbies too.
Oh, always. We slave for hours making those Little Debbies. Yeah.
And I think I told our listeners too about the little nutty bars and how this family was there. I won't share the story again, but it was just such a neat little card they sent us about how it reminded them of their 19-year-old who just passed away not too long ago. And that was his favorite. And we gave them that. And so they wrote a 3-page letter along with $200 in this card. They said that they were in tears just knowing the ministry. They thanked us for the ministry. And, you never know who you're going to reach. So come out and connect in this. You'll love it. Also, too, I talked to Herbie just a few moments ago. They're right now working on our sign, and the stonework is being done on the waterfall part, which I fought for so hard to get that waterfall. And anyway, they're working on that, and I'll be over there about this afternoon to kind of walk them through. They're going to set up the LED lights soon too, so that's in progress. Hudson is working on our roof, and they're done with the front part, other than just the kind of I don't know, they're done with the roof, but the siding part. And then on the back, they're starting on that too. And so things are moving forward on our Hudson project of our roof. And then we'll be doing the stairwell and then the entrance, that big old tower too. So they'll be working on that. Also want to remind you that every morning we're going through the book of Corinthians. We're in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So Monday through Thursday, just 5-7 minutes of devotions, 5 to 10 minutes. And so connect with us every morning at 8 o'clock, or you can catch up later. But we got a lot going on. We're so excited about planning ahead. Some of the things you'll see coming up, maybe in April, we're going to start our movie nights. Was that in April or May, Hal?
It starts in April. It's going to be the third Saturday all the way through until October. In October, we're going to do the movie night on the evening that Trunk or Treat is in the afternoon, and to make it one big, gigantic kids fest,
I like it.
That's awesome.
Combine the event. That's cool. Then on every third Saturday, is it second Saturday night? We do the Samaritan Center, correct?
Yes.
Second Saturday night, we do the Samaritan Center. Yesterday, I met with our conference. I was in conference committee, and then I met with my regional conference director. Our extern, Andrew Corp, just graduated, but he'll be doing a live evangelistic series for us. There'll be about 10 part series, and we're working on the dates, but it will probably start the very beginning of May or end of April. So we're going to go before leadership team, check out the dates, but I'm excited about that. We'll go 4 nights a week, and you can either come or watch live stream. So it'll be 2 options. And we're thinking right now Friday, Saturday, and then possibly Tuesday, but we're going to talk to our Tuesday team and say, hey, we'll invite those that come to our meals to join us and do it around 7:15, our evangelistic series. So we're still talking about the dates that we're going to look at, but that's something exciting coming up also. So we're so glad that you connected with us, and thank you again, Sandy, for being our guest.
Thanks for having me.
Would you mind if I asked you to have our closing prayer? Would that be okay?
Sure, no problem.
Awesome.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together digitally this morning, helping us create connection in a time when so many of us have felt lonely. Please just help us to continue to be cautious, but also have faith that we're in your hands, Lord, and you will take care of us. We thank you for your protection, Lord, in thy holy name. Amen.
Amen. Hey, one thing I forgot is that we're in a new series called Pray Bold Prayers. You can pick up a little wristband there in the lobby of our church to remind you to pray bold prayers. Our next series is going to be Peace on Purpose, making certain that we have peace, but it has to be on purpose. So thank you again for joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of your week. May God bless you real good.